Hey everyone, and welcome to WDIM Plus, where today I'm looking forward to the 6th and final season of one of the most well-reviewed series in history, and sharing 6 things that you can expect to see in the last season of Better Call Saul. First introduced in the 2nd season of Breaking Bad, Bob Odenkirk has channeled a character in Jimmy McGill, aka Saul Goodman, that is as lovable a loser as there has ever been on a televised series. Even though we see Saul involve himself and others in countless perilous and unscrupulous positions that seem to escalate throughout the 5 seasons of the show that have aired, we still root for Slippin' Jimmy at every turn and hope that, unlike most of the characters in Breaking Bad, that he may end up in a better place than he started. The main theme of this show has been accepting the person that you really are, or how Mike Ehrmantraut put it in the final episode of the 5th season, playing the cards that you are dealt. And in that season, we saw not only Saul but the other characters from Breaking Bad, such as Mike and Gus, take big steps towards becoming the ones we meet in that series. Not only them, but we also saw some big changes for the character Kim Wexler, played by Rhea Seehorn, and it only fuels our need to understand what happens to Kim before this series ends, as we do not see her again in Breaking Bad. So here I thought I would run down all the open storylines that are expected to be closed in the final season of Better Call Saul, as well as share some leaked photos from the filming of the season, and let you know my theories on what I think will happen. If this is your first time on the channel, my name is Eric, and here I talk about all the series and movies I love. So if you do enjoy the video, you can do a lot to support the channel by hitting the like button and subscribing. I am a huge fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and I actually did a video showing off all the connections between the 2 series in Season 1 of Better Call Saul that I will link here and in the description if you'd like to watch it. While it will be sad to see the last season of this beloved show, we can at least take some solace in the fact that this will be the longest season to date. The 6th season will be 13 episodes instead of the usual 10, which may be a hint as to how the season will be structured if we look back at the show's predecessor. The 5th and final season of Breaking Bad also ran for 3 more episodes than its usual amount, and the season was split in 2 halves that experienced a time jump in between. This could be a clue that we could also see a bit of a time jump at some point in the final season of Better Call Saul, and maybe even an episode or 2 that focuses on Jimmy's life after his getaway. The last episode of Better Call Saul will be the 63rd episode of the series, which will give it 1 more episode than Breaking Bad. But if you include the movie El Camino as an episode of Breaking Bad, then there is an equal number. Also, Vince Gilligan, the creator of the series as well as Breaking Bad, will be returning as a writer for many of the final season's episodes after only directing a few episodes over the past 2 seasons. Since Breaking Bad's final season is largely considered to be one of the best endings to any series ever, Better Call Saul will have a high bar to meet, and fans will be eagerly anticipating its release. While the release date has not yet been confirmed, the producers have given out a rough timeline of early 2022 for the first episode to air and a trailer to be shown before the end of 2021. One storyline that we know will be shown in the final season is a revenge plot against Howard Hamlin created by Kim and Jimmy. In the final episode of the 5th season, the 2 were shown to be discussing possible cons that they could run, and Kim suggested doing something that would destroy his career, much to Jimmy's shock. This series and Breaking Bad have created a lot of larger-than-life evil characters that seem right out of fiction, but Howard Hamlin is a villain that most people could relate to as being one that they have at least seen, if not had to interact with in their private lives. Having worked in the corporate sector, I have met many hollow people like this, and it looks like in this final season we may get to see Howard Hamlin fall from grace. In a leaked set video from the filming of the season, we can see Bob Odenkirk basically doing his impersonation of Howard, as he is standing next to the same car that Howard Hamlin drives, and he's wearing the same clothes that he does, and even Jimmy's hair is styled in the same manner. This deception makes even more sense when you look around and realize that Jimmy, aka Howard, is standing in the parking lot of the rundown hotel used by Jesse and the prostitute Wendy, named the Crystal Palace, shown in Breaking Bad. In another video, you can see a woman who is wearing an outfit that looks a lot like one that Wendy would wear, which could mean that we meet a younger version of that character as well. This may be the first con of Jimmy and Kim's that Kim goes in without the same restraint that we have seen before, so things could get really bad for Howard this season. Since the first season of Better Call Saul, we have been given glimpses of Jimmy's life in black and white after the events of Breaking Bad. Slowly, we have been shown that now Gene Tekavec lives a lonely, solitary life, but still pines for his days in the sun, as he is shown to still watch videos of his old commercials. During the 5th season, Jimmy's persona, Saul Goodman, was recognized by a suspicious-looking taxi driver, and after it seemed like Jimmy was ready to disappear once again, he changed his mind and said he would take care of it himself. Now, if this were Walter White, we would expect to see something poisoned with a piece of tofu or some intricately planned accident, but this is not Jimmy's style. Given Jimmy's proclivity for drama, I'm guessing that instead we will see a plan involving props and paid actors that gets the taxi driver to question who he actually saw. Jimmy obviously misses his old life, but lives in constant fear of being arrested or worse, and he has been careful up until this point of not drawing any attention to himself. But conning this man who recognized him may give Gene enough confidence to fully forego this new life he has bought and venture out to a new life afterwards. While we do know what happens to Jimmy, aka Saul, right after the events of Better Call Saul, I really do hope we spend a lot of time in Nebraska and not only show Jimmy dealing with a taxi driver, but also what happens afterwards. With the characters Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, I think what makes their arc so satisfying is that both get what they deserve in the end, even if they had to walk through unimaginable obstacles to get there. So through the course of events that we have seen Jimmy go through in Better Call Saul, and as Saul in Breaking Bad, we have to ask ourselves, what does this character deserve? He is definitely not a saint, but has also not shown to be as callous as Walter White or other evil characters on these shows, so because of this, I do think that Jimmy will have a happy ending. Jesse was able to escape this story, and he had to go through a torturous incarceration and dangerous escape to do it, but eventually was able to move on in the sequel movie El Camino. I think that Gene's time in Nebraska is his own form of personal torture, and that he will have to take action to make his escape in the last season, similar to Jesse. I don't believe that he will end up with Kim though, as the show doesn't let any of its characters off easy, but I do hope that he will at least be able to live his life without fear going forward. Arguably, the event that fans of Saul Goodman have been waiting to see play out on Better Call Saul the most was first mentioned on Breaking Bad. If you do not recall, in the Breaking Bad episode titled Better Call Saul, in a scene in the desert, before Saul deduces that Walt is behind the ski mask, he says in Spanish that he has always been a friend of the cartel and asks if Lalo sent them. He also says that whatever happened was Ignacio's idea, who also goes by the name Nacho Varga. This has huge implications for the final season, and it is possible that this event will be the final one that turns Jimmy into Saul completely. Saul met Lalo in the 5th season first while in prison, and then after Lalo arrives at his doorstep. Some quick thinking from Kim got Lalo away from him, but since Lalo did survive the events of the season, it puts the two on a collision course for the final season. Since Nacho, Mike, and Saul all have a vested interest in getting rid of Lalo, I'm sure that they will all work together to achieve this, but it is still interesting that Saul assumes that Lalo is still alive during the events of Breaking Bad. Even though the 5th season of Better Call Saul ends about 4 years before his introduction on Breaking Bad, there is a good chance that we will see more characters from Breaking Bad or see a different perspective on events that took place on that show. My best advice to you, the viewer, would be to go back and watch the 2nd season of Breaking Bad and pay attention to the suits that Saul wears during his first appearances. Saul's suits have never been hard to miss and are hardly ever seen multiple times, so it is possible that we will be able to tell when and what events occur on Breaking Bad by what suit Saul is wearing on Better Call Saul. There was also a leaked set photo of the exterior of Saul's office that was seen in Breaking Bad, so I'm guessing that we will not only see Jimmy purchase the office, but also film the famous commercial shown in Breaking Bad and the intro to Better Call Saul that features an inflatable Statue of Liberty. Like Kim Wexler, Lalo is another character that has been very important to this story, but is noticeably missing from the series Breaking Bad. Also, before Gus is killed by Hector, he plainly states that after the massacre he planned at Don Eladio's house, that there are no more Salamancas alive. So whatever happens to Lalo, Gus believes him to be dead, but Saul does not. Now the final moment of the 5th season puts another wrinkle into this, because after an attempt on Lalo's life by Gus, Lalo has one of the attackers tell someone on a phone that the mission was a success. So it is possible that from this moment, Gus believes that Lalo is dead, and whatever Lalo does in the 5th season of Better Call Saul, he does in the shadows. Remember, the cartel also attacks Saul in the episode Bagman to stop Lalo from being released and escaping to Mexico. So it is possible that after the death of his family, Lalo goes off the grid and plots his revenge. But the fact that we see him walking away from his house after the attack and presumably searching for Nacho, who is also on foot but does not know the area like Lalo does, hints that these two still have some story together. Without a doubt, the one question on everyone's mind is, where is Kim during the events of Breaking Bad? There are parts of the last couple of seasons that seem to hint that either Jimmy would push her away or that Kim would be so mortified by Jimmy's actions that she would leave him. But at every crossroads, Kim seems to double down on her involvement with Jimmy more and more, and this really comes to a head in the 5th season, as she not only plots a con that will get Jimmy his multi-million-dollar settlement from Sandpiper Crossing, but also one that will destroy Howard. This has the effect of shocking Jimmy, and it looks like he may not be the only character Breaking Bad over the course of this series. While Kim really threw herself in harm's way by standing up to Lalo in the 5th season, I do not think that we will see the end of Kim Wexler during the course of Better Call Saul. It would be hard for the audience to reconcile the confident man we see in Breaking Bad, knowing that Saul had just lost the love of his life. But instead, I think we will see Kim escape from their situation and perhaps use a familiar face. I think we will see Ed Galbraith, or at least have the character mentioned in this season, and I think that it will be in regard to Kim and her escape. For one, I don't think that they will end this series like Breaking Bad, and instead will show Jimmy have some sense of positive closure before the end of the last episode. Seeing him ride off into the Nebraska sunset will be very satisfying, and if you recall, Kim was originally from Nebraska. Also, before Jimmy S. Saul escapes while using Ed's services, he states that his best case scenario is that he is working at a Cinnabon in Nebraska, which is exactly where he ends up. This leads me to believe that he knows someone that has already used the services of Ed, and this person could be Kim. There is also the flashback scene in Better Call Saul that shows Saul and Francesca cleaning out his office before his escape, and he tells her to wait by a phone on November 12th for a call. Since November 12th is Jimmy's birthday, and the show's creators have a habit of making main characters' birthdays significant, I believe that it is Kim that calls him on his birthday every year. She may be set up somewhere nice, and I hope that we get to see what she is up to after the events of Breaking Bad. Well, that was my list of things I want to see in Season 6 of Better Call Saul. Thank you very much for clicking on this video, and please hit that like button if you enjoy it. Subscribers who like and comment on videos are automatically entered into whatever giveaway I have going, and for the summer of 2021, you can win a Cobra Kai t-shirt just for supporting the channel. Thanks for sticking around, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?